Hey everyone, and welcome back to Pinned on Places, deep in the rolling, deceptively peaceful Shropshire hills, where the border between England and Wales blurs into a patchwork of ancient woodland, sits a ruin that holds its breath. This isn't the kind of castle that invites you in with grand gates and gift shops. This is Hopton Castle, a jagged tooth of stone rising from the earth, and it is perhaps the most haunted, blood-soaked square metre in the West Midlands. There are no flags flying here, no reconstructed battlements, just the raw, weeping wounds of the 17th century masonry. As the wind whistles through a 14th century window arch, the sound transforms into a low, haunting frequency, a reminder that some silences are louder than others. Hopton Castle is a keep and bailey design, a classic Norman statement of I am here and I am staying. But look closer at the stone. It is a geological map of survival. The lower foundations are massive, rough, coarse rubble blocks from the 12th century, designed to withstand the battering rams of the Welsh rebels. Above that, the 14th century refinement of the de Hopton family shows through in the elegant, albeit broken, window tracery. At the height of this 3-storey tower, notice the machicolations, the stone projections at the very top. They were not for decoration, they were killing zones, where defenders would drop boiling oil or heavy stones onto anyone foolish enough to reach the base. In the winter light, the limestone takes on a pale, bone-like quality, standing as a stark, skeletal sentinel against the dark, heavy clay of the valley floor. The atmosphere here is very specific and heavy. Inside the keep, the roof is long gone. When you look up at the sky, it's framed by a jagged stone edge that looks just like a broken tooth. The soundscape is also quite unique. The wind hits the sharp corners of the ruin and creates a low whistling moan. It's a sound the locals call the Hopton sigh, and in the evening that sigh sounds disturbingly like a human breath. You can touch the interior walls of the Great Hall. In some places you can still see the charcoal staining from the final fires of 1644. Interestingly, you can also feel the impact pitting, which is the small jagged craters left by musket balls. It feels rough, cold and strangely vibrant, as if the energy of the battle is still vibrating within the rock. The story of Hopton is defined by 1 month, February in 1644. Whilst the rest of England was playing by the somewhat gentlemanly rules of engagement, a tiny garrison of just 30 Parliamentarian soldiers, led by the iron-willed Colonel Samuel Moore, held out against a Royalist force of over 500 under Sir Michael Woodhouse. For 3 weeks, the defenders were pushed into the upper floors. They lived in total darkness, breathing in the acrid smoke of their own matchlock muskets, eating raw grain and licking moisture off the stone walls just to survive. When the Royalist Saker cannons finally breached the wall, the defenders surrendered on the promise of mercy. The Royalists, enraged by the delay, betrayed that oath. They didn't just kill the prisoners, they executed them with a systematic cruelty that shocked even their own men. As prisoners of war, they had every right to expect honourable treatment, but instead they were put to death in what was widely condemned as a massacre. Accounts vary as to how the men died, but some say they were killed one at a time and their comrades were forced to watch so that they would be under no illusion about the suffering that would await them. Other accounts say that they were tied back to back and pushed into the freezing, muddy water of the moat to drown. Only Colonel Moore was spared. He was kept alive in a dungeon to live with the memory of his men's screams. This disgraceful episode led to Hopton Quarter becoming a byword for treacherous behaviour in war. During recent restoration efforts, archaeologists found more than just stones. They found interesting small items of the siege. A single bent spoon, a handful of lead shots, and the remains of a dog that had been trapped inside the ruins. These tiny artefacts really do bring down the horror to a human scale. You realise that for those 30 men, Hopton wasn't just a historical site. It was a claustrophobic, terrifying tomb where they spent their final heartbeats. What do we do with a place like Hopton? It's too small to be a fortress and too scarred to be a palace. Standing here as the light fades, you realise that Hopton Castle is a monument to the no man's land. It represents that terrifying moment in history when the law fails and all that is left is the raw, stubborn will to survive. It isn't a place of chivalry, it's a place of visceral, human consequence. The power of Hopton feels like a scar that has never quite healed over the Shropshire landscape. As you walk away, leaving the tower to the shadows, you can't help but look back. You realise that the castle isn't just watching the valley, it's waiting. It's a reminder that while empires fall and kings are executed, the stone remains, holding on to the secrets of those who stood their ground when the world went mad. So that's it for this video. If you've enjoyed it, please hit on that like button, click the subscribe button and pop on the notification to never miss an update or video. We'd like to say a big thank you to our channel members and Patreons for all of their kindness. And if you are at all interested, then why not check out ways to support us down below in the description box. So we'll see you on the next one. Till next time.